Order! Order! You are an incorrigible delinquent at times. Behave yourself, man!
Alongside Watt, Faraday and Stevenson, the launch of an identical, expensive new rectangle that is missing a phone jack probably won't warrant its own set of commemorative stamps in years to come, which heralds the question of the night: if the brand new iPhone 7 is the best our leading inventors can do to excite us, have we reached the high watermark of innovation? Will it be downhill from here, or does the absentee phone jack signify greatness to come? Here's David Grossman.
Ladies and gentlemen, our presentation will begin shortly.
So, how does the CEO of the world's most valuable company begin his big product launch of the year? Singing in a car with a comedian, of course. You get the sense there's a bit more sizzle than sausage with Apple at the moment.
It's the best iPhone that we have ever created.
Yes, there were some neat new features, but nothing to rival the startling innovation of the Jobs era. At some point, the new computers will end up with collectors like Mac Smith, a repair shop in East London. But some economists believe that we're now at the end of this period of extraordinary technological innovation, that all the big changes that have transformed our societies and economies are now in the past, that the challenge for the future is how do we satisfy the wants and needs of more and more people with minimal economic growth. The economist Robert Gordon created this graph showing economic growth in the leading industrial nation. That was first Britain, but later the United States. The norm, just 0.2%. There's been a blip, he says, over the last 100 years from innovations like the steam locomotive, the telegraph and the PC. But the trend, he says, is very much now downwards.
The problem we face is that all these great inventions, we have to match them in the future. And my prediction that we're not going to match them brings us down from the original 2% growth down to 0.2, the fanciful curve that I drew you at the beginning.
The theory is that most of the huge advantages of urbanisation, electricity, sanitation and computing have already been reaped. What's left? Marginal, incremental evolution, not revolution. According to other academics, though, this pessimism couldn't be more unwarranted.
I think that the really important age of innovation is still ahead of us. We have innovated a lot in terms of gaining control of the world outside, but we haven't really begun in terms of changing the world inside us. Just as in the Bible, God has the ability to create animals and plants and humans according to his wishes, so we are now gaining, with the help of biotechnology and artificial intelligence, the ability to start engineering and manufacturing living beings. I think that in the next century, in the 21st century, the main products of the human economy will be not textiles and food and iPhones, they will be bodies and brains and minds.
Some economists, though, believe that what's missing today are engaged state institutions to set the direction for innovation.
The famous Apollo Man on the Moon program by NASA actually ended up over time, and that's another thing, actually allowing that time to take place, so long-run policies. It ended up producing most of the technologies which today are in our iPhone. So what makes the iPhone smart and not stupid are technologies like the internet, GPS, the Siri voice-activated system, as well as the touchscreen display. And all those were actually publicly financed.
And without some idea of the big goals for innovation, perhaps then we end up pursuing the short term, the marginal and the trivial.
And producing a pristine, mirror-like surface.
I draw an analogy with Abraham Maslow's famous hierarchy of needs. You know, as society progresses, we go from focusing on things like survival to things like, you know, establishing the social order to self-actualization and in things that we become more obsessed with ourselves. And I think that's what innovators are responding to.
It may be then that the future will contain innovation, but not innovation that leads to economic growth or makes the growing global population more prosperous. And that truly is a challenge for the innovators.
And that was David Crossman.
I've been getting away